Hello, hello there. Happy Monday morning for those of you who are on live and watching as we go through this 30 days of energy boosting tips for breast cancer survivors. I'm your host, Karen Del Maestro, self-care coach, breast cancer, and BRCA2 thriver. And it's an honor to be here with you and go through this 30 days with you together. I like to call it an adventure, a 30-day adventure where we're exploring some new ideas, some new thoughts, lots, 30 of energy boosting tips. So today we're on day 11 already. I can't believe it, right? So day 11 and if you want to follow along, by the way, don't forget to grab your energy boosting calendar, right? We all need these reminders, guys. Don't just watch the video and forget about it. Grab your calendar so that you can put it somewhere and be reminded of these things. So today, you may think I'm a little wacky here. Wouldn't be the first time, right? Today, your tip is to buy fresh flowers. You're like, Karen, really? Really? Yeah. Now here's why. Okay. Not only are they beautiful, right? We know that. But fresh flowers from most of us, not all of us, and obviously if you're allergic, then please don't do this, but fresh flowers from most of us bring joy, bring pleasure, bring happiness, right? Have you ever noticed that? Like they make you smile, they make you feel good. That's the key, feeling good. Okay, because when something brings us joy, it releases dopamine into our body. That's our feel good hormone. It's our pleasure hormone. We want dopamine, lots of it, please, please, please. But not only does it release that hormone, but it's also in what's known as a neurotransmitter. What does that mean? It means that it sends messages to our brain, right? And it sends messages of joy and pleasure and happiness. Now, as you can imagine, when we're feeling those things, are we also feeling exhausted and drained and blue at the same time? No, not usually. So even if it's a momentary glimpse of joy, it helps to boost our energy. Now, here's the cool thing, and this is something that I do with my one-on-one clients all the time, right? I will ask the question and I'll ask you. I'm using the example of fresh flowers here because that's something that brings me joy, right? It can be one flower. It can be a flower from the garden. I'm not talking expensive bouquets of flowers. I'm talking cheap and cheerful, easy, not expensive to do, so it's accessible to everybody. I mean, seriously, if we think about how much money we spend without thinking about it on those expensive lattes from certain places, right? And yet that you may be spending $30 or more a week on, and yet you can go to the supermarket and get an inexpensive bouquet of flowers for less than $10. One is filled with sugar, going to make your energy go up and crash. One is going to bring you joy for an entire week every single time you walk past it and see it. Let's let's be purposeful with how we're spending our money and what we're inviting into our life. It kind of makes sense, right? So, as I said, it can be flowers from the garden. It can be one flower. I love the look of like one single sunflower or something like that. Always looks great, right? But the key is that when we want that flower or flowers in a place in our home where we're going to be walking past it frequently. Why? Because the more frequently we walk past it, the more that we can hit that pause button, pause, take in the beauty, receive the joy, enjoy the dopamine and how it feels in our body, and get that little energy boost. Beginning to make sense, right? Yeah. So as I was saying before, it's something that I do with my one-on-one clients all the time is asking them what brings you joy. Now, it may be fresh flowers, it may not be, okay? But let's think about for a second what brings you joy. Now, There's an important word in here, and that's you. Okay? Because one of the caveats to that question is that it cannot include your family, your kids, your pets, your significant others, things like this. This is just about you. What brings you joy? Now, as I said, for me, fresh flowers is one of those things. I have a whole list, and I encourage my clients to make a list. And it's difficult when we're excluding, all of the other people that might bring us joy. It's not to say that they don't bring us joy, but here's the thing, and this is why I like to do this exercise, excluding external people, is because when we know what brings us joy, we have the choice to invite that in. This is why I like it to be something that's just for you, so you don't need anybody else to be around. We're not relying on anybody else. We're relying on ourselves. And so when we create this list of things that brings us joy, and I like them to be free, I like them to be easy, I like them to be attainable just from home where you don't have to go somewhere. So for me, that's why I say pick a flower from the garden. Could be the garden, could be sitting outside and having a cup of tea, right? It could be reading a book or listening to some music, or maybe you're listening to a book on audio. What brings you joy? An Epsom salt bath. You hear me talking about these things all the time. Why? Because they're things that bring me joy. They're things that I invite into my life because they feel good. And when we know what makes us feel good, then we're able to invite it in more often. But if we don't know the answer to that, it sounds such a simple question, right? And yet it's really quite thought-provoking. And then how can we invite it in if we don't know what brings us joy? So, like I said, fresh flowers is a good one. And I find for a lot of people that fresh flowers is something that brings people joy. So we want to pause. We want to really see those flowers. We want to smell the flowers. We want to appreciate them. We want to smile. We want to actually take a moment in our incredibly busy, hectic, chaotic lives to smell the roses, right? There's that saying. That saying exists for a reason, but you may not have linked it to your energy levels. And so that's what I'm doing for you here today. Right? So whether it's fresh flowers, whether it's one of the other things that we talked about, I invite you to consider what brings you joy, excluding all of the other people. It could be going for a walk in nature. Like I said, it could be sitting outside, whether it's cold or warm or rainy or whatever, it doesn't matter. Taking those few breaths of fresh morning air. What is it that brings you joy? Find these super simple things so that you have the option to bring them into your life. We're not relying on others then. We're taking control for ourselves. It's pretty empowering. It's a great feeling when we know what brings us joy and we're able to invite it in. So when we're feeling drained, when we're feeling exhausted, inviting in that little bit of joy is going to help our energy level increase a bit. I hope that makes sense now. At the beginning, you probably thought I was a little nuts, and that wouldn't be the first time I've heard that. Sometimes I think outside of the box, but I like to think that there is no box. There is no box. And that's pretty exciting, right? We don't have to be confined by what we think is our normal everyday routine. We get to step outside of that anytime we choose. Anytime we choose. So don't forget to grab your energy boosting calendar. Today is day 11, buying fresh flowers. That's your tip for today. How easy is that, right? And now I hope you understand why that super simple tip is going to help your energy levels. Makes sense, right? Okay, so that's it for today, guys. If you go out and buy fresh flowers today, or you go and pick a flower from the garden, or whatever it might be, drop a note in the comments. Let me know that you're playing along here. Let me know how how these tips are impacting your energy levels. Are you starting to feel a little bit of an energy boost? What has resonated? What hasn't? Let me know. Okay. I'm Karen Del Maestro. You can find me over at karendelmaestro.com and also in the Healthy Living After Breast Cancer Facebook community. And I will be back tomorrow for day 12. Craziness. I don't know where the month's going. Anyway, have an amazing Monday. Don't forget, hit that pause button and invite in some joy. Please, you deserve it. Okay? Bye for now, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.